game, everyone. This is Rich Ramon, and you're listening to Still Toking With. Yeah.
Greetings, my friend. This is the brain of TV's Pinky in the Brain. Yes, and my human avatar, Maurice LaMarche.
Hi, it's Chris Poland, and you're listening to Still Toking With.
Hey, this is Eric Roland, voice of Kendo Rappa on My Hero Academia, and host of the Tough Love Podcast. You're listening to Still Toking With on the Dorkening Podcast Network.
My crew is ready to obtain the absolution, removing any doubt that we were ever fooling.
Hey! Welcome to another kick-ass episode of Still Toking With. Well, you already know who I am, so you're not here to see me anyways. And if you are, well, I'm sorry. But no, man, we have a kick-ass guest tonight, man. I am so psyched to talk to this gentleman. We've tried to get him on 3 times. This is the 3rd time. First time he had a prior engagement. Second time, literally an hour and a half before the show, he was being evacuated because of the fires in California. But he is safe. And I believe he made it through unscathed. We're not sure, but we will talk to him about that tonight. But before all that, joining us as always, the man that brings the flash to flashy, Jeffrey Mark.
Good evening, all.
How are you, sir?
I'm ready to have a great time. I can't wait to start asking this guy some questions.
I figured that. So we'll get right into it. Oh, wait. We got one more person here I got to introduce. I forgot. The voice that's always in my head.
Hey now. I get that voice in my head too, you know.
Yeah.
So you're not alone there. Hey, I got a question.
What
the fuck happened to January?
Seriously. It went poof.
We're
older, dude. As we get older, it just goes faster and faster. They tell you that. Like after
it went up in flames.
Yeah, you hit a certain age, and then shit just goes whoop. It's gone. That's why I live every day.
I even missed the fucking groundhog. I don't know. All of a sudden, we're past Groundhog Day. I'm like, what the fuck happened? I don't know.
You were sick in bed for 2 days.
Well, I was, but that's all right.
So
maybe it was a week.
I don't. Could have been.
Maybe it was January.
But listen, our guest has a hard out tonight, so we should probably.
Let's just bring him. I've been seeing this guy's shit for decades. That's how fucking old he is.
Yeah, right.
But let's bring him right in. Let's welcome the iconic Mr. James DuMont.
Oh, hey, what's going on, man? What's happening?
Oh, love the glasses.
I'm glad to be at the Church of Saint Toking. Happy to worship here with you guys. What's going on?
Yeah, just trying to survive the nightmare or live the dream or whatever, however you want to perceive the day, I guess.
Absolutely. And each one is going to be different. Trust me.
That is true.
You think you're ready?
It makes for an adventure.
What's up?
It's an adventure.
It is. It's as we character guys, and we call ourselves journeymen. It's a journey, right? We're journeymen. We're on a journey. There's no destination. There's no end in sight. I mean, we know inevitably we'll be feet up at some point, but the reality is you're on a journey, and just like any other journey, you get off the path, you get it back on the path, you move a little forward, move a little backwards, take a little nap.
So it's like the show.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You take a little nap, have a little toke, you listen to some funny dudes. It works out great. Everybody wins.
Winning. James, there's been a lot of forward in your life this last year too.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I'm usually a pretty forward kind of guy, to be quite honest. I don't really. They always say you can't hit a moving target. So it's kind of like I base resilience would be on my tombstone for sure. Just in terms of just keep going, man. It's like there's I'm a Buddhist of 37 years, and I was at one of these online meetings, and a gal there is you'll appreciate this. The gal's into medical marijuana, and she was one of the pioneers up in Provincetown. And she said, the difference between poison and medicine is in the dosage.
Mm-hmm.
And I really thought about that a lot because the early medicines were poisons. It's just a matter of the pharmacist was smart enough to go, like, if just a little bit here, if you do this, this will help heal that. But if you do too much, it'll kill you. And I've really kind of adopted that a lot, especially these days, is, how much am I going to take in order to fuel me and feed me forward? And how much am I going to take in to fucking shut me down and feel like, powerless? So I stay in my lane. I control my controllables, which is being creative. I'm a storyteller. I just like you guys are storytellers. We stem from the first communicators of all language. Before there were even words, there were guys, grunts on walls and rocks telling the stories of the people before. So if you just honor the fact that you're a storyteller, that's your plan, that's your mission, that's your purpose, just stay in your lane. Before billionaires and before politicians and corporations, there were people that gathered around and told the stories of the people before them. And that's how we exist. So once I say, I don't let anybody disrespect me as a storyteller. Like, oh, you're an actor. Where do you wait tables? And good luck. Hope you get your break. And stupid shit like that. It's not
at
that
your level, James. At your level, you're still getting that kind of bullshit.
Oh yeah, dude. Because I'm that guy. Like they don't recognize me right away. I've had. I did a pilot that I've been working on that I got to get back to called That Guy, and it's what it's like to be in fame purgatory. Like you're known, but you're not unknown. What I mean? You're familiar, but they don't know who you are,
Right.
And so I get people kind of asking me, oh, hey, you look really familiar. Are you my kid's soccer coach? I'm like, no. Were you part of that seminar? I was like, no, I'm an actor, and they're like, oh, well, what, anything I would have seen? I was like, yeah, a lot.
Probably.
Probably. Name them. And I go, well, name all the jobs you've done. Now why don't you tell me what your resume? It's like, I was like, I'll give him the short list or something. But one guy turned to me one time and he's like, so I gave him Dallas Buyers Club, War of the Worlds, Ocean's 13, Catch Me If You Can, Seabiscuit, SWAT. Like I named down a few and he goes, speaking parts? And I go, oh yeah? Oh, hey, what kind of work do you do? He's like, well, I'm a lawyer, mergers, acquisition, blah, blah, blah. And I was, oh, so you get coffee for everybody at the office? Do you go pick out the Danish for everyone? Did you do all the Xeroxing and bring it down to the courthouse? Is that what you do? Because that's pretty much what you said I do, And then he never talked to me for the rest of the play. You know what I mean? What's the two of us in first class? And I'm like, yeah, I'm an extra in first class. Like, just figure it out, Yeah, so it was just, there is times where I think people disrespect the actor because there's all those weird extremes of like lots of fame and, attention but real actors, real storytellers, their lives are kind of boring if you think about it, so it's like, it's what they get to do and tell the kind of story. So yeah, for me, every once in a while I get dissed.
Wow.
Well,
I give it right back because I'm just like, whatever, dude. It's like,
I think there's a lot of people out there that just firmly believe that no matter what the other person does, that they can do it better.
Yeah. But the thing is, for me, most people's jobs I can do. I've laid cement. I've done so, but can you do what I do? Can you memorize 8 to 12 pages of dialogue in 24 to 48 hours, create a human being, document, and send it off?
I remember to pee before I go to bed.
Exactly. Well, yeah. So the point is, again, I try not to, I'm trying to be as humble as I can, but I'm also, I'm not going to take any shit from anybody. So,
right.
I love what I do. And the fact that I get to do it is great. And if I make a living doing it when I do, it's even gravy. Nobody really does this for the money. I can tell you that, if they did, they're going to be in for a world of hate. Hurt.
Right. You got to do it for the love, for the passion.
Yeah, like this is who I am. This is how I want to spend my time on the planet,
Right.
And I've had many other opportunities to do all kinds of things, but it's like this is the thing. And now I'm teaching now, which is something I didn't think I'd ever do. And now I'm starting to direct. I'm directing a off Broadway play, which I've never done before. So I'm producing films, but on a bigger level. Now this last one, we just got greenlit for $4 million shooting in London. So it's like,
oh, nice.
It's taking on and doing things that make me uncomfortable.
Right.
It's like
any non-speaking parts in that one for me.
Exactly. Of course, I'm going to produce a big $4 million movie and have no lines in it. Of course.
Right.
You be the towel guy.
It does, with all that we see about our business and media, and it still galls me that most folks don't have a clue what our lives are like. Not a clue. They still think it's like MGM and Mickey and Judy, and everybody is a multimillionaire that has a butler waiting on them, and that's hardly ever the case any longer.
Yeah, I think there was the thing that I think one of the most positive things that came out of the strike was SAG and AFTRA's messaging of going 80% of these people that have SAG cards don't make enough money to qualify for insurance. They make less than $25,000 a year. And if you do your math, $2,000 a month is $24,000 a year. So the average actor doesn't make $2,000 a month in income in order to get insurance. Like, you have to earn it. So you have to hit that threshold. And that
that's
was
just actors in the union.
Right. That's within the union. So you're kind of going, wait, 80% of the people in this union can't make $2,000 a month? That should tell. And then think about what job you do and what hours you put in. It's like, that was the smartest thing they did, was the messaging to say, we're working class people just like everybody else. Yeah, you see the movie stars, and those are anomalies. Those are rare things that the actors are producers and they have points in it. And Tom Hanks is smart enough to take money on the back end as opposed to on the front, and makes more money off of Forrest Gump than he would off of 3 movies, And so those are good business acumen, good artists that are business people, but those are few and far between. So the nice thing about that was to go, and this is where I think we had a lot of support of a lot of other unions that are going, wait a minute, like, you guys don't make 25 grand a year. like we're a union, we're electricians, or we move trash in New York and we make $30 an hour. It's like, we make 100 grand a year doing, moving trash in New York. So the point is it was just smart to kind of say, we're just normal folks. We're just trying to carve out our piece of the pie like everybody else. And streaming was a windfall for the streamers. The profit margins were in the 300 to 400%. The amount of eyes that they get in the subscriber base, and now they're backing it up with subscriber and advertising. So they're going to get your subscriber money and they're going to get ad revenue. It's like they're just making hand over fist. What
the hell are we doing wrong?
Until you get a piece of it, you got to find a way. You know what I mean? It's like, but like any other thing, like somebody had the hold on this product or that thing. It's like there's ebbs and flows to the business. And I think now AI is going to be a new thing. People are fearing it as a threat, but I think it can actually be a huge creative opportunity. You can create a whole feature film through AI.
If it's done right. I'm very leery of AI.
Right. I agree.
Negatives. Yeah.
If it's done right, but we've been through so many different technologies that have replaced human jobs. It's not funny. I remember being able to, you check your bag at the, on the curb, and now sometimes you do, but most of the time you check in your own bag. Those are people's jobs, or the token booth attendant, or these are being, technology, if done right, you're right. If done right, could be good. But I also think the next generation is so already on virtual reality that it's like, I don't think they don't really care whether it's a human being or something, as long as they're entertained and moved. So that's what I think the difference is that this next generation is so raised on technology that it's like, if they like it, they like it, and if it's virtual and not, a human being, so we'll see. But I feel like at the end of the day, my job is to tell stories. And you're right. If it's done right, just like any story, if it's told right, my wife and I think we've seen Goodfellas, I don't know, 250 times, something like that. Every time it comes on, like, a good story is a good story, and a story well told is a story well told. And so it'll stand up the test of time, and people will go, I want more of that. So as we kind of progress into this next phase of the world of entertainment and storytelling is, at the end of the day, story is king. That's how I always feel. If it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage. If it ain't in the script, it ain't on the film. So it's like, it's still we're all on the same page, and that is that. And also, just, I think we're getting at a time where, as so much of corporations have such incredible power and control, as we're finding out. What's happening is it's forcing us as communities to unify as communities. So my mantra this year is, I want to be the unity in community. You know what I mean? Like, I'm about, like, let's do, if they don't like what we're doing and we don't like what they're doing, let's do what we feel really serves the greater good and the people around us, So
Nice.
yeah, so I feel like that's kind of where, we're in a good spot. And I like to do that through stories. Like one of the films that I'm working on has this incredible high concept about the preciousness of life and how many breaths we actually have. And if we knew how many we have, how would we live our lives? And I go, man, that is as humanly universal as you could get. And I feel like that's a story that I want to tell, because at the end of the day, I think we all focus on, well, we want to live long, we want to eat right and we got to exercise. We want to have a long life. It's like, well, if your long life is fucking miserable and you make everybody unhappy while you're here, yeah, no, you should have just gone out like at 20, when you peaked in high school, like just go,
Right.
Just go. But I feel like there's something now about it's not how long you live, it's how well you live and how much it's a wonderful life. It's like, how many people did you really touch and influence and inspire while you were here?
Right.
Everything else is bullshit. It's, and so, my mission and my purpose is to tell stories, the ones that mostly are passionate. Now that, I don't know if I told you guys, but both my son and I are on the Righteous Gemstones together. My son plays Pontius Gemstone. So we last 6 years, thanks to Danny McBride and HBO and Rough House people, it's like we spent the last 6 years and 4 Father's Day on set on a TV show together.
That's incredible.
From that, it's been now my new purpose. And I said to him very clearly is once he gets out of college, it's like, all I want to do is make projects with you while I'm alive. Like, that's it. I'm pulling. If you haven't seen the Jerry Jones monologue from Landman, watch it. It's incredible. Jerry Jones does this monologue about explaining how his original impetus, he wanted to be around his daughter, but he didn't want to smother her. He wanted to give her some space. So he's like, you know what? She's going to be up in Northern California. I'm going to buy some land up there so I can be up there. And if she wants to come home for the weekends and do laundry and I can hang out, but I'm not going to smother her. I'm just going to be close. I'm not going to be the dad that's dismissive and so busy that he has no relationship with his children. Sound familiar? Somebody we know? I'm so busy and such an incredible inventor, and I have all these children and baby mamas. I'm not gonna be a good dad. I'm not gonna be present for my kids. So Jerry Jones buys this land up in Northern California, and each of those plots of land has oil on it. The first thing hits hard. He makes more money off of that than in his entire life. The second plot of land gives him enough money to buy the Dallas Cowboys, and he bought the Cowboys for his family, for his kids, so they can have a family business together. So as much as everybody hates on the Cowboys, and trust me, I do, I don't hate on Jerry Jones, because the original reason for him doing was he just wanted to be with his kid more. And he goes, so now I work with all my kids and my grandkids. He goes, I'm spending my life with my children as much as I possibly can. And I go, now that is a rich man. That's right. A rich man.
I agree.
So for me, my third act of where I'm at is I just want to make projects with my family, and that's it. If I get paid to do other stuff, great.
You're all making me jealous.
What?
I don't have that opportunity.
What's that?
You're making me jealous.
What do you mean?
I don't have that opportunity with no children. So what's
you
my
have to create? You have these children. Look at these are 2 kids right here. You have these children. You raise them up. These are 2 kids. They need some.
Yeah, Ben's kind of my kid. Yeah.
Well,
30.
What? 30.
These are your children, though. The reality is, you guys are creating this thing together. You're creating this platform, this place. It's not so much about the genetic of having. It's about creating a community and doing it together.
Right.
And that's what you're doing. Like, that's why I'm here.
Very
Nice.
cool.
So,
James, how did you get started being a storyteller?
So I started in porn initially. That was like my first, tip in. No, literally. No. I was hey, however you get in,
Right.
Whether you're playing a role or serving one, it's like however you get in the business. No. So No, I started as I was a kid actor out of Chicago. And it goes actually back to like my mom submitted my baby picture for the Gerber baby bottles because you would submit it and I got picked. So I was on the bottle of the baby bottles way back in the day. So I was one of the Gerber babies. And then I did like commercials as a kid in Chicago. And there was this, I don't know, this up and coming restaurant called McDonald's or something was there. And they just seemed to be doing commercials. And then this other thing, so the point is I did commercials early on and I got my SAG card in the movie, The Blues Brothers. I was one of the kids dancing in the street.
Yeah.
And I was an extra at first, but then I got called down and they showed me the dance number and I got to be in the front, and that led to like doing a little, I did extra work in Risky Business and Thief and My Bodyguard. And then I got a little like a speaking part in the movie Class with Rob Lowe. So we were just Chicago actors. And in that movie was like, there's Alan Ruck is in there and Casey Simasco and like, John Cusack and Jeremy Pitt. These are all like people I kind of grew up with. So we were all kind of like just Chicago theater actors. And that's how I got started. I just did lots of theater. And then I went to school in Boston. I went to BU. And I went for a couple of years, and then I went to New York, and then I rolled into New York with $200 and sleeping on a couch, and I left, doing a Broadway show that ran for 2 years. So it was all right.
Right.
I had a good time in New York, and then I went to LA for about. I was in LA for about 20 years, the last 10 of which I really spent back and forth between Louisiana and Los Angeles. And my wife is originally from Baton Rouge, and so we moved our lives down to Louisiana about 10 years ago. So I was originally considered Bayou Coastal between Louisiana and LA, the other LA, the two LAs.
Right.
Now,
And then I kept my apartment in New York. So I'm tri-coastal. I kind of work New York, LA, and pretty much everywhere. I'll show up to the opening of an envelope if you'll pay me, but I'm not getting on a plane unless there's something worthwhile getting on a plane for. So
very cool.
Yeah,
Very
especially lately.
Yeah. Right.
But I mean, like you said, you did a lot of commercials and you did a lot of appearances in other like TV shows and things like that, know. And I have to bring it up because if I don't, my wife will slap me. You appeared in General Hospital.
Yes.
Which is one of her favorite shows, but we'll go past that now.
It was Sonny's henchman. I was just supposed to be this. Didn't say much. They work so quick that you can do 2 episodes in a day. So he's like, oh yeah, you're going to get paid per episode and you're doing 2 in a day. And I'm like, I like this. Let's do this,
But you appeared in a few of shows that I really enjoyed, like Bones, Ghost Whisperer, Home Improvement.
Yeah.
So what was it like during that period?
That was a good time. Like for me, I was a New York theater actor, pretty snobby. But I had a couple of casting directors that really dug what I was doing and they thought I was really funny. And so, those are kind of it's so funny now to talk about it because everything's so self-taped now. And like everybody has they do their own little casting at home. So I really feel like I'm really like an old dude now because it's like, I remember when we went to Warner Brothers and they lined us all up and they pointed us out and said, you come in here and you read this thing. And then they put me right on the set, like there was a time at Warner Brothers, it was called Building 140. And you'd have to park like miles away. You get your pass to go on the lot. You go into Building 140 and it was like 12 casting directors all in one office. And so you go in and you read for somebody there and then you go like, well, and then they have these boxes in front of each of their offices. My dad was a salesman, so I'm no fool. I brought 12 headshots and I'm like, bom, 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 bom. So I would hit those things, or if I'd knock on the door and say, hey, I just saw such and such. He thinks I'm an amazing actor. Maybe you should see me too. And from that, I went back to that building over and over and over again. And that was Home Improvement was there. Friends was there. Ghost Whisperer, Bone, it was like the heyday of TV because Warner Brothers just had it all. So you literally would go in for one audition, but you were smart enough to drop your pictures. Even my manager would go okay, make sure you drop your pictures and knock on the door. I just submitted you for something like, you know, like, and I'm calling from the payphone back in the day, you know, I'm like having change in my pocket all the time. So so yeah, that was the old hustle in there, which was just a matter of, if you went in for one casting director, you were likely to be back there 3-4 times per week. So it was just nonstop at that time. Same thing with Louisiana. When the tax credits just started in Louisiana post Katrina around 2007, from 2008 to 2012, there were more film and TV done in Louisiana than New York and LA combined for like 4 years straight. And I ended up doing like 2 TV shows in a day, 2 movies in a day. I did a WWE movie in the morning, got in a car, drove to Baton Rouge, did a movie with Cuba Gooding Jr. You know, I got from 7 in the morning till 7 at night, got in a car, got on set 9 at night till 7 o'clock the next morning. Like, I worked and I slept in the trailer, you know, like, so there was, you know, when it was really busy in the heyday, it's like you just, you know, as my dear friend Henry Winkler taught me, he said, James, it's a hustle at every level. No matter where you
Truly.
don't bitch about it, don't moan about it, embrace the hustle. It's always a hustle. You're a TV actor, they don't think you can do film. You're a film actor, they think you're too big for TV. It's like, he goes, it's always a hustle. Just accept it, enjoy it, go for the ride. And it was the best advice I'd gotten. And I still feel that way. It's like, you know, it's just, I'm still hustling, you know?
Right.
We had talked off camera a little bit about you're going into teaching a little bit now and the auditioning process. Again, for our friends out there who don't know how it works, they think we go into a room or a theater and we audition. How did you, because folks, that's not how it works any longer. How did you adapt from the old school way of showing up and auditioning to doing everything from your house? How did you adapt to that?
Yeah, that's part of that's part of the whole thing about our story or our journey of anyone is one has to either adapt or die, or you can just bitch and moan and complain about it all you want. But the reality is, I've always been I come from a family of innovators. My great uncle was one of the inventors of the picture tube, created the first DuMont television network where they did Cavalcade of Stars and shows and this little skit that became the Honeymooners. So it's like, so my family and my dad was a very smart, just seeing innovation, like seeing what the next thing is. And so it was more of a necessity thing, which is that I wanted to be able to work in more film work. And the films had really kind of left California at that point and moved to where the tax credits were. I saw it happen earlier in the 90s with things going up to Canada. So I saw that earlier. I had a vision about like, okay, this is where it's going. And for me to be able to audition in one place and send it somewhere else, the technology was catching up to that. So I have been self-taping for 15 years. I know most people are coming off of COVID. It's like, it's really after COVID, then self-taping became a norm. But it was part of my life, and it was even part of people that were higher up than I were. They didn't want to audition. They didn't want to meet the director. They're just like, let me throw something down on my camera or my, and I'll send it to you. So it was just this way of like, instead of an offer, or I want to see you, or you didn't see me, you think I can't do this, let me do it. So the self-taping thing's been going on for about 20 years. In fact, in the Southern market, they were doing it, and you would send in your VHS tape, or you would send in your, disc. So for me, I was auditioning for things in Louisiana, even though I was living in Los Angeles. So I would fly down at first to really build that relationship with those casting directors enough to go, is James going to show up if I give him this job? So I've been doing it since I'm, 15 years. So the way it works now is I'll get an email. I'll usually I'll have 24 to 48 hours to turn an audition around. In order to compete in television for larger things, I usually shoot, if it's a page or 2 pages, I shoot it with my cell phone or my digital camera in my comforts of my own home. I edit it. I send them 2 takes unless they insist on 1. And then they're able to see my work, right away, as if I was in the room. So it's a huge savings in terms of, the flying back and forth that I did for years for Louisiana, building that relationship. Economically, not 30 cars are not going on the road for people to go into a casting office with the casting directors and even the producers. You're saving the environment from all that stuff, from traffic and smog. And then the economics of you can see any actor in any market all over the world within days. And so, there's too many pluses to it. That for me, the adjustment was really all about, I like to work the room. My dad was a salesman. I like to work the room, but at the end of the day, they really need for me to deliver the work. So even when I was doing the live, I really kept the chit chat to a minimum. I came in, did my work. If they wanted to talk after, I was fine, but I really minimized the salesy show guy thing and just came in and did my work. So the adjustment wasn't so difficult for me in that regard, because I know some actors that got work off of their personality and who they were, but their skill set and their talent was not, sustained. They got work, they got other work, and they had good representation, but they really suffered a lot when things switched over to self-tape, because they were personalities. They weren't really trained. They were guys from The Sopranos, they're like, who were just out of work, and they were great goombas and funny guys, and they tell stories, but at the end of the day, they have to deliver. And so for me, I always came into the live audition, and no slight to my fellow, all my Italian buddies out there for The Sopranos. And, but the point is, I think a lot of those guys got catapulted into positions, and then they're like, oh, I guess I should take a class. And they're like, I'm not going to do that. And then, it goes away, the phone stops ringing. And so
Sure.
I think for me, it's always like, I never rested on any particular laurels, and I still don't. And I don't feel entitled to anything, after 40 years in and 180 credits. I feel like each time I have an opportunity to create a human being and send it off. And so that's what we do now is email comes in. I usually do same day. If it's a page or 2 pages, send it off. I give them a couple of takes. If they like it, they check my availability. If they say yes, then I got to find a way to get there, whether it's New York or LA. It's my responsibility to do that. The game has changed a lot, but the upsides of that are they're seeing more people from more diverse backgrounds that were not getting seen, because when you had a live audition, weren't with a certain agent or manager, you wouldn't be seen at all. And so now there's so many people being seen. I also think there's a pushback where people that really rested on, their privilege of being with this agency or that, they were getting priority over other people, and now they have to earn it. And so, as a guy that's had to tape all the way through, and half, previous to COVID, half my jobs were offers, the other halves were self-tapes. Now, up until recently, I just was offered a, Mel Gibson movie with 11 scenes opposite Mel Gibson. I mean, that's the first offer I've had since Spencer Confidential. 6 years go by, no offers. But that director did his homework and looked at my work, and it's like, there's 3 components to this character. There's actors that just do one of those 3 things well. You actually do all the 3 of those. Like, you're the guy that does all the 3 things that I need for this arc of this character, and you're in one body, and you're affordable, because it's 500 miles away, and it's not. So, when I'm getting opportunities these days, it's because a famous person is unavailable, or they can't afford them. So, anything that trickles down my way is great. I'm just happy to have it,
Right.
With everyone's permission, may I have 1 minute to geek out with you, James?
Yeah.
Because you dropped a bomb and we went past it. And like your uncle was Alan B. DuMont?
Yeah. For those who know TV history, that's my great uncle Alan.
Alan B. DuMont not only helped invent television sets, he also had a network. He was the 3rd network with CBS, NBC, and DuMont. ABC was on life-sustaining. DuMont had incredible great shows. It became the Metro Media Network, which became Fox. So the Fox network, was really started by Alan B. DuMont. I just had to enjoy him because I'm a television historian, and I could spend 2 hours, James.
And I could tell you stories that would blow your mind about my uncle. I'm trying to make a biopic about him because I look like him, and B,
you do.
He was a fucking pioneer. He was giving blacklisted actors opportunities to be on television. The first African American woman had her own TV show. It was a cooking show on DuMont. There was an Asian American woman who had a cooking show on there. Like he gave people, handicapped people coming back from the war, he put them on the assembly line. I mean, Alan was a pioneer of pioneers.
He built this television network with no radio network to make up for the differences in costs.
Wow.
Yep.
CBS and NBC had their radio networks to sustain because TV was at a loss the first 10 years.
That's right.
DuMont did it at a profit without the radio.
Correct.
James, off camera, talk to me about that project. I want to be a part of it.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, we're one of my uncle, Bruce DuMont, runs the Museum of Broadcasting in Chicago, and he has been kind of keeping the family archives of all those kind of things and knows stories beyond stories. And actually, one of his interns, who again, it was and he was a radio TV, he's like, you fucking look like Al. Like, we got to make a biopic. You're right at the age. This is right the time. And I'm like, absolutely. So we've been kind of developing it. There's a couple of books that we're looking at to get the option. But yeah, see, these are things that are exciting to me right now. Do you know what I mean?
That's cool.
As well,
that's
they
really
should be.
cool.
Trying to figure out what the next
James,
guest.
I want you to know that on the other side of this screen is my family's DuMont television set from 1950. I still have it in the original Chinese cabinet in which it came. So I am all in here, kiddo.
Wow, dude. It's kismet, baby. Meant to be.
It usually is with me.
He ain't stroking. No, it's good. It's good. Good stuff. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that because there's a whole.
Gio, working your way right in the back door there, I see, huh?
What's that?
That I do that often, but that's another story.
So the back door reach around. What are we talking about? What are we?
Hey, let's talk about gemstones before we lose our time here.
Speaking of off color, perfect timing. Great segue. Thank you very much.
I try.
Yeah.
Tell us about. So gemstones is going to a new season.
Yes, season 4. It'll drop on March 9th on HBO. We'll do it as we normally do it, which is we're going to spread it out each week. You got to watch each week. You can't drop it all at once. So one at a time. I believe we're going to get a full 9. We made full 9 episodes. We may do what we did in the beginning, which is a 1-hour first episode and a 1-hour last episode. And it's public knowledge at this point that this is our last season. So, it's bittersweet. It's been 6 years of my life, my son and I. I did 20 episodes. I think my son did 26. And for those who are not Danny McBride fans, he's the only reason to watch HBO, in my opinion. The work that Danny does between Vice Principals, Eastbound and Down, and now Gemstones, it's just he's amazing, and he's an amazing person, incredible father, and a great artist, man. And my son got spoiled. I turned to my son and was like, "Hey, man, this experience, like I've been on 180 movies, like this experience, everything's gonna suck compared to this. So if you have anything that's great, so just enjoy this whole ride because we've had a great. So we have a great season ahead. Public knowledge is that Megan Mullally is joining us. For people who are big fans of Megan Mullally, she comes in as the love interest to Eli Gemstone, meaning opposite John Goodman, which is incredible. William Scott, is going to be joining us. For those who love the old Dukes of Hazzard reboot. And he's, anybody who's a fan of. It's Stifler, man. It's Stifler. Like how cool
right? Yeah, Stifler.
So,
Exactly.
And William, my son, Kelton, just got along really well. So so all the episodes are going to air on March 9th each Sunday. We have our favorite 10 o'clock slot. It's where The Sopranos was. It's where Game of Thrones was. It's where Gemstones been. It's where Succession was. So it's been we're going to go out with a bang. And there's talk of maybe a Gemstone movie or some specials. Who knows? But I can tell you hands down, like that cast is incredible. Not just the funniest people, but just some of the greatest people I've ever had the pleasure to work with. They've been so kind to me and my son. They kind of, Cassidy Friedman, who plays his mom, is like a second mom to him. They're an exceptional group of people. That the casting directors, Sherry Thomas up in LA, did an amazing job of just picking incredible people. And also Danny McBride, I think it has my experience has been the greater the person is, at the top sets the tone of how it's done. If they're the first ones to arrive and the last ones to leave, it's like that. Danny McBride is the benchmark of excellence and just the kindest. And he sets that tone, and it only draws certain people. There's a couple people that kind of came through and thought there was going to be some big diva thing, and like it just got shut down because we're all trying to make the best, funniest show we possibly can make. And there's competition amongst these people. Like my group is called the Goon Squad. And it's like, we're Danny McBride's henchmen, and we still are 4 seasons in. And it's like, we compete to try to keep camera time because you got Adam Devine, you got Edie Patterson, you got Danny McBride, you got John Goodman, you got Tony Calvero, you got, Adam, it's just like, it's the who's who of like some of the most brilliant people out there, and Tim, and like you go on and on and on. But yeah, so for those who have HBO, get ready. If you haven't watched the show, up now. It'll be perfect timing for when we drop on March 9th. But
right.
Yeah, I've had probably one of the greatest experiences. And I think, as I said before off camera when we were talking, is, I get to be with my kid. I get to create projects with my son together, and we work well together. So we're doing a feature together now, and we got a director and some A-list actors that came on board like that. So it's really I'm having a good time.
You also mentioned all of this wonderful stuff you're learning and getting, that you're going to be passing it forward. You're going to be doing some teaching. So
yes.
For the people out there who want to get tutored and helped by Wonderful You, how do they find you?
Our website is oncameraworkouts.com. And I do classes. Today's my Wednesday class. I do a day class. I did one this morning and then one at night. And I teach people the fundamentals of how to do on-camera work. As I said, I've been self-taping for 15 years. I booked well over $1 million work just for my self-tape. Most of the time, I don't meet anybody till I get to set. And so I pay it forward. I teach people how not to make the mistakes that I did. So yeah, it's called oncameraworkouts.com. And I do a class on Wednesday day, which is called Lunch Crunch. It's about working on your self-tapes. And then tonight, I'm doing I do 4 classes a month, teaching everybody the fundamentals. And we pick shows that are really great. Like this month, we picked Severance. Last 2 months, we did Succession. We did a couple of. So we're doing the pilot episode of Severance. We break down the script. Then I teach them how to break down the 5 scenes. Then they shoot it as a self-tape. So the idea is I'm teach people how to fish. That's the real reality is that I think a lot of people talk about, I'm teaching from my experience. It's actor to actor. That's what's different is I used to think teaching was like, well, those who can't work teach. And I'm like, no, it's the exact opposite. Those who work should be teaching because that's, you are teaching practical skills that they're going to need to have when they get on set. So I teach actors to go from self-tape to set. And I have about 2,800 students all over the world. Obviously, during COVID, everybody came in and they were like, self-tapes. I don't even know. Like, here's the guy. I happened to be. I had water during the desert. It was like I literally when COVID hit, I worked 7 days a week. I had classes 7 days a week. I had 20-hour days. Like, I wasn't automated. I was like, and now it's like I teach 2 classes a week, and then I do a cool thing on Mondays. This is for writers. I do a thing called Monday Fun Day. I've been doing for the last 6 years, and it's a free 3-hour thing called Monday Fun Day. It's on our website, On Camera Workouts, and writers can submit 15 pages of their feature or 20 pages of their pilot, and actors read their material aloud. So actors get free cold reading skills, play different kinds of characters. Writers get feedback if they're working on specific scenes or they want to work. They're working on their. So one of the we've had about 20 or so of the things that have come through have turned into short films that are played all over the world. And then one of the big projects that I just talked about today got a green light for $4 million from a film company in London. And that came from my development workshop. That came from, and I do it as a pay what you can, pay what you think it's worth. It's free. I have many people that come in there who just don't have the money. The writers are usually kind and want their work read, so they usually donate. But I make it a pay what you can, pay what you think it's worth, because I don't want money to be the issue that holds somebody back from creating or telling a story, and for actors to be able to act. So 2 Mondays a month, because we stretch it out so the writers have time to rewrite scripts. So Monday Fun Day is twice a month, and it's free. Like you sign up and you get your Zoom link and you come in, and actors get to play like in 3 hours. They may play like 20 roles. Like, when do you get to do that? And if they want to give us something, that's fine. It's really, again, like paying it forward is what's the value of it if you got something out of that. But I never feel like, it's not a moneymaker for me. It's really about allowing a lot of the writers are actors. And one of my actors was a guy who was an extra on Gemstones, and from working on the lab, now he's created an 8-episode series, of which when it's done, I'm definitely bringing it over to Danny McBride because it's right in his wheelhouse. So, so I'm creating this kind of like platform and a place, a community where people feel they can create together, not waiting for the business to figure things out. And I'm in the of service part of my life right now. I've had a lot of incredible people that have gotten behind me, and I want to be able to create that for other people. When you're right, the next generation, like who is the next generation of storytelling?
James, before we go, because I know you have an out.
Yeah.
You have so much creative energy. It's dripping out of your ass. Were you always like this? I mean, this incredible energy.
Could you tell that part of you? My wife didn't hear you. Could you just scream that out? Because that poor woman has to listen to every fucking idea and every, you've been telling me you're going to do that for blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, I only have so much, I get 6 hours sleep. So it's an 18-hour day, always. Although sometimes it's less, but more. But
I admire that was a compliment of admiration.
Oh, no, and thank you. I'll take that as well. Yeah, I just feel like there's no other way to live. I can't operate in another way. I've tried the other way, and it's made me very unhappy. Because the thing is, look, if you were to tell me that my livelihood and bread and butter and roof over the head and food in my kids' mouths were contingent upon other people making decisions, I never would have gone into this. But I never went into it for those reasons. I'm here to do this. This is my purpose. So I feel like I have to live up to my possibility. We Buddhists say you're doing a human revolution. You're clearing away all the bullshit in order to evolve. Part of revolution is to evolve. While I'm here, I should be a better father, a better husband, a better man, a better human being, And so I found the way to do that. The way to do that is through storytelling and giving other people the ability to tell stories, encouraging them to, and then telling my own story, and I want to tell the story of my uncle because I think that's a story that would inspire people too. So,
James, get my contact from Ben.
Oh yeah. No,
I so want in because I've got DuMont stuff on video here that like one of the largest collections in the world. So let's talk.
We talk, and I'll give you that fun one because I have the DuMont 1000 in my basement. The DuMont 1000 was the last radio last console. It had 8-track. It has 8-track. It has cassette. It has reel-to-reel. No, 8-track, cassette, and a turntable and AM/FM. And I rebuilt the cabinet because it just fell apart. But it's so beautiful. I'll send you a picture. You'll appreciate it. But yeah, my sisters collect DuMont TVs. The guy
I have product, DuMont television product.
Oh my God. Well, I think my father turned ours into a fish tank years ago.
Yeah. Well, because the screen was so small, like you could do, like you're going, so it's this huge box. It's this
even the call letters, Channel 5 in New York was WABD for Alan B. DuMont.
That's right. So for me now, I'm also trying to create what I think is the next DuMont television network, which is DuMont independent television. Not relying upon networks, not relying upon streaming.
Very cool.
But real independent stories and independent, because that's what I think the next thing is. Mm-hmm. If you're looking at people like, New Orleans native Mark Duplass, take your money from Apple and be on the morning show and then finance your own TV show so you don't get canceled and you tell all the stories you want in a season. And I'm taking a page from. I've always talked about making independent television, and now I have the material and the resources and the relationships to do that. And I want to do it, in my own backyard, so I'm not on a plane and away from my family. Even though my kids are now, grown almost. So
right,
that's the plan, is to kind of, rather than waiting for the phone to ring or to someone to validate, what is already inherently possible. And we just met each other, and you're like, I get you. It's like, I get who the fuck you are. And I'm like, if you don't, then you're blind. Like the opposite of woke is be asleep. You're just not
right.
You're not paying attention. You know what I mean? Because I'm doing my thing, whether you give me permission to do it or not. So I feel like I'm always about actor empowerment, and it can't come from other people. It has to be. And I know I have that 5 out. I saw it.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure you saw it. I don't want to be held. I don't want to hold you up.
It's like, look, I appreciate you guys. I definitely want to come on back and talk more stuff anytime you want. Other than Wednesday. No, I'm just kidding. I'll make it happen again. But I thank and appreciate you guys for just giving me the platform to just gas on,
No,
A pleasure.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks again. We'll see you guys. Appreciate it.
Teach well.
Take care, James.
B12, is that what I'm doing here?
Teach well.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I will teach the children well.
So,
What a pleasure.
right?
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like neither one of us really got a word in edgewise with that one.
No,
But
not
no,
really.
It takes a lot to keep Jeffrey Mark from getting a word in, but he was so, I didn't want to interrupt him because he was on
a roll.
fire
I mean,
to tell his
he was on
story.
fire. Yep. But
Yeah.
that's what I like. I like to hear that kind of stuff.
Right. I
know
mean,
what I
I
mean?
would book him. I would book him again later in the year just to come on and talk more about the DuMont stuff. Outside of, we only touched a little bit about what he does with the television series and things like that. But for our folks watching and listening, I mean, this gentleman was in Jurassic World. He was in Deepwater Horizon. He's been in a ton of actual films too, which was a question I had transitioning from TV to film. But
I never got to ask him anything about my questions.
you should know by now not to bother even writing shit down, dude.
Well, no. I got to make
things.
my little notes. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, certain things.
I mean, he beat me to the punch himself because I wanted to bring up the we was just offered that role in that Mel Gibson movie.
Yep.
And that's a supporting lead role too.
Yes.
Well, you guys are real busy these days. Well, let's take 2 minutes to talk about what are you guys so busy with?
Oh, geez. I mean, the 6th comic is going into production. The second novel is a little over half written. We stop back on our tour this week. We leave Friday afternoon for Connecticut for Expo Canada for 2 days, and we're booking events as we speak. So, yeah. And then real life, of course.
Well, yeah.
Well, that
real life
thing, yeah.
I mean, I needed to get my head buried into something, which is what I do. That may sound, kind of weird because I take on a project that you don't know how it's going to go, how it's going to turn out, or anything else. And it's a remembrance, not just to my dad, but to my wife's dad. Okay. And I'm using things from the camp up in Maine, stuff that came from my father-in-law's home. And I'm actually building a little, you'll see it when it's done, but I'm literally building a mini tree house inside a stump.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
With little miniature lights and the whole 9 yards. And yeah, so that's got me pretty well busy right now,
Pretty well busy right now.
I admire,
well, I got to get going on some other projects too, but
right.
But still, the talent you have to do that. I'm a talented man. I'll say it up front, but I have none of those talents. And when I meet people who can do those kinds
I don't
of
know if I can get
things,
the camera to pick this up.
oh wow! I am impressed, my friend. See? Not
I've
just
seen,
a pretty
I've
face.
seen him do better things. Well, no, seriously, you're talking to somebody that built a replica of the Pantheon
Yeah.
to hold a basketball.
Gentlemen, both of you. Yay.
Thank you.
Well, that's actually, my passion. When I can just take and look at a pile of scrap pieces of woods and sticks and twigs and figure out how to put it together to make it look cool.
Yeah, I see that same pile and think, what a nice fire that would make.
Well, plus this is a meaningful product,
Right.
project too.
Of course,
You know what I mean?
of course. I'm not making fun in any way.
Oh yeah, no. Because that birch tree has been at the camp ever since I can remember. So that's 55 years.
Wow.
And it finally died, and we had to take it down last year. So the middle of it was hollow. That's what that back that you saw. That's what I'm using as a piece of that. So
there you go.
That's a project from the heart.
So,
I have a feeling with both of you guys, and I hope with me, that all the projects are projects from the heart, or we don't do them.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And like Ben said, we're getting geared up now. We've got this event this weekend. Then we got something else coming up in March. I know there's something in May. So the travel
two in March. Yeah, we have 2 in March. So we have Northeast Comic Con, and then Dave is putting something together at the end of March.
Yep.
Yeah. And then April, I think we're in Vermont. And then May, we're in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
So yeah, things are starting to pop off, and
one of the projects I'm considering starting is a book about the Silver Age of Superman. And if that gets published, I can join you at Comic Cons.
Yes, you could.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you could.
It is.
Yeah,
it's not been done. It's not been done. The Mort Weisinger edited books at DC from 1956 to about 1970, 71. That would be the focus of the book. And we'll see. It's just one of the things I'm talking with my literary agent about.
Very cool. Very cool.
Well, everybody's got to do something. It's like, and Ben knows, I've spent the last 2 years taking all my handwritten poetry from my books and getting them typed into the computer, because everything's handwritten.
Yep.
There's over 300 of these in 3 books. So I'm trying to get that's my book that I'm putting together.
And I've still got the new Lucy project I'm working on and my memoir. And I did a show with your compatriot this morning at 9:00 in the morning, my time. And our guest from last week.
Oh, Hal?
Yeah. I was on Dr. Hal's show this morning. I'm on another show on Friday as a guest.
Nice.
Talking about Lucy and Ricky and Fred Nethel's trip across the country.
Very
on a show called Road Trip. It's on Friday morning. So busy too.
Right. So on that, I am going to spin us out. Mr. Jeffrey Mark.
Well, what a pleasure this was. It always is. I love doing this show, and wherever you are, God bless and have a happy.
Love it. Jeffrey.
I'm in the forest on a path. I'll be around the corner pretty soon and out of sight.
Yeah.
I've seen that before, actually. I think I did see that before. You want to know more about us? Go to stilltoken.com or Token with the Dead on Facebook. That's it. That's where we're at. And keep your eyes peeled. Keep your eyes peeled. If you're in Connecticut, we will be in Connecticut at Expo Canna this weekend. Just look up Expo X, not EX, XPO. Canna. CANNA. Not Canary. And it's not Hexpo with an H.
Okay.
X. EXP. Expo.
All righty then.
That confused them well. All right.
Yeah, it did. Hey, they're stoners. I'm supposed to confuse them.
Yeah, we want to thank our guest James DuMont for taking time out of his busy day to finally jump on and chat with us. To Jeffrey Mark for joining the family, of course. Hef for being Jeff, and to all our veterans and first responders, we want to thank you for doing what you do, so people like us can do what we do. Stay safe. We'll see you next week. We're out of here.
Peace.